All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cinema Wave podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mark Jacobino. I'm joined by the always reliable Vinny Albano and Mikey
Hello.
Peniston.
Hello, everybody.
And you've noticed we have a bit of a new setup today. I'm excited because I can almost reach out and touch Vinny.
Yes.
And Mikey, I can't, but I'm like close. I'm blocking the camera, but we're a lot closer today. So I'm excited for the new angle and excited to talk about the final 2 episodes of Solo Leveling Season 1. I'm still trying to catch the camera here. They are titled, actually, they're good titles, so I'm going to talk about them. A Knight Who Defends an Empty Throne and Arise, which is a huge calling card for Solo Leveling for the community. So I loved seeing that Arise was the season finale title. Before we dive into these 2 episodes, I think I just want to ask you guys overall, what did you guys think of this season now that you have it as a full package?
Yeah, this is a banger. This is a banger. I say it like every episode, but I think looking back on our first discussion and how I was very skeptical going into this. Like,
Yes.
I was scared that it was going to be a waste of my time, kind of like, oh, it was going to be fun action, but no, like, I've actually really enjoyed seeing Jin-Woo's growth over time, and these last 2 episodes were such a epic capstone that moving forward, I'm hyped, especially where they leave it off with his character, with all the S-rank hunters going back to Jeju Island. I am so excited. And not only was this such a great pivot point for the story, but also the action and the animation and the music, also the voice acting here, they all delivered in these last 2 episodes. And I can confidently say that Solo Leveling Season 1 was a banger.
Banger.
It's a banger.
And I do want to add that Jeju Island confirmed an actual island off the coast of South Korea,
Oh,
surprisingly. But I know we
Okay.
talked earlier this season that there's some new scenes in the Japanese version that
Yeah.
make it set in Japan. So still don't know if Jeju Island's going to be in Japan or
Yeah.
South Korea. So we'll see. Mikey, to you. Full season of anime under your belt. This was your first true experience and you got to talk through it live. So how you
Yes.
feeling?
I am. Wow. I'm feeling. It feels. It was kind of funny. It was like almost like I was like having my own little countdown for this moment. That's how pumped I was for this. And just overall this whole season. And again, being that this was the first for me, I'm really happy that I started with this one. I'm sure obviously that there's so many vast contrasting different types of anime,
Yeah.
and that this is maybe this obviously isn't like your even traditional type of anime, I guess you could say. But I'm so happy that we started with this one. I also just loved seeing this journey of Jin-Woo's growth. I felt like these last 2 episodes really just showcased a lot of what we were hoping to see. A lot of just this rise, I guess you can say rise with it being the last episode, but this rise of Jin-Woo, and like and just like this, I don't know what's the true word, but like this power growth almost, and it's I feel like especially there was a moment in the last episode that really showcased that one moment. I'll wait till we kind of get into it
Sure.
to really talk about it, but overall, I really enjoyed Solo Leveling. I felt like there really wasn't an episode overall that I could think of that I disliked. I had so much fun with this whole show, this whole first season. And yeah, I just really love these last 2 episodes too. They might be my favorite 2, honestly,
Yeah.
of the season. And that last episode, well, I'm gonna wait to get into those details, but it was hard. That episode was real hard. Yeah.
Yeah. As a Mawa reader, it was a really good adaptation. I really enjoyed it. I think it did what the Mawa did. It was just kind of enjoyable action with some interesting geopolitical aspects and, a main character that you want to support, but he's kind of towing the line of good and bad. But in the end, you're always hoping that he chooses the good side. And I think they paid like really nice respect to the anime, to the Mawa, because in some shots it's like almost one for one the particle effects and the comic drawing of how it looked in the manhwa. So I really appreciated that. Of course, Sawano's gonna deliver on the score throughout. The score released. Go check it out on streaming, so you can check all that out now. And yeah, I think for me, since I know where the story goes and I knew what this at least kind of idea of what this season was going to cover, I don't think it blew me away in the fact that it added anything new. It was definitely the same solo leveling that I got in the manhwa, but talking with you guys throughout this season, it actually helped me appreciate some of the deeper themes that maybe when I was watching or reading it, I was just more like junk food. I was like, oh, this is so hype. This is so hype. I'm just reading, but I liked kind of going deeper with you guys, and it made me appreciate it. So a lot of credit to A1 Pictures. I think these last 2 episodes, they animated the fighting and the detailed armor of Igris and all these other knights like so well. I know armor is like one of the scariest things that animators like try to avoid being really detailed with, and I thought they absolutely killed it with 3D modeling and the camera movement. I thought it was awesome. I know A1 Pictures is capable of this, and I love that they brought their A game here. So I want to start obviously with the 11th episode, the penultimate episode with Igris and his beatdown of Jin-Woo. I loved the opening here when he enters the dungeon. It looks like a Dark Souls boss. Like it's a huge room, and then you don't see like the boss, and then the boss kind of just slowly walks out with a sword, and he doesn't say anything, and you're just like, oh shit, that looks like a problem. And yeah, the fight was just amazing. What'd you guys think of the fights? Vinny, I know you have some key animators. I know you have key animators for us. So I want to hear your thoughts on all of it.
Yeah, totally. 100% agree. That was my first initial thought too. Yeah. I was like, wow, this is Dark Souls right now. Because even like Igris's presence with the huge sword, it reminded me of the Dragon Slayer from Berserk, which Dark Souls and software games, they take a lot of inspo from that. And even like having Igris's ability of like the telekinesis, essentially, like boom, and the sword comes out. I was like, wow, this is straight up from Dark Souls, and I love it. And I loved how difficult and how much of a challenge it was for Jin-Woo. The entire fight was just epic and awesome. And I want to shout out, a lot of key animators haven't really been confirmed for this last 2 episodes just because of how recent they are. However, I will say Takafumi Tori, who I've mentioned in previous episodes, as well as Yoshihiro Kano, who I've also mentioned in previous episodes. Their work is all over this last 2 episodes, and they definitely deserve a shout out, whether they're here doing corrections or they're here doing key animating. It's beautiful. It's epic. The use of 3D space in a 2D medium is incredibly done. You have Jin-Woo bouncing off walls, and the camera is tracking him through, all 3 different axes of space. It is epic. The coloring too, amazing color design. I loved like the reds and like this very there's like these hints of orange from the candles, and the whole temple is kind of decorated in this dark red maroon color. And then you have Jin-Woo, who's obviously in this iconic bluish theme, and it stands out against that. Just kind of wrapping up my thoughts right here. A1 Pictures, you mentioned at the beginning of the series, I was a little hesitant. I think that they're a great studio, but when people heard of like a solo leveling adaptation, they were thinking, oh, let's get Ufotable in here. Let's get these like really crazy anime studios. So A1 Pictures coming into the, taking this adaptation. And even at the beginning, I mentioned how in our first discussion, I was scared that they were going to kind of keep to a very simplistic art style, keep it very simple. But no, they there's some great
went for it.
There's some great texturing. There's some just great uses of the medium here that I think they delivered. You know, I'm gonna repeat this word like a million times, but it's the only word that comes to mind when I think solo leveling, and it's a banger. It's a banger. Yeah. Yoshihiro Kano and Takafumi Tori. Shout out those animators. They're great here.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with a lot of that. I feel like episode 11, I enjoyed it being a different approach to a lot of what we were seeing prior. And animation wise, it was so beautiful. I was kind of waiting for a lot of these like real true anime sort of like choreography, and you know, not that we haven't seen that before, but like I know that there's like a certain level of it that like we hadn't really seen before.
No, it's true.
You know? So I felt like episode 11, it wasn't I can't even say it was fully that, because episode 12, man, we'll get to that. But I feel like it was like a perfect introduction to that, you know, building that into that. I loved seeing just Jin-Woo in this sort of state, seeing like the odds almost against him, like for the first time. Like it has been like we have been talking like in this guy's favor for so long, like he was just hyping him up for so long. So like it was almost like as humbling to him, I'm sure, as humbling as it was to him, I'm sure it was humbling to all of us, just being able to be like, oh snap, like he's like really like all right, like he's getting his ass whooped, you know. But it also it set up another stake, which a lot of the season has been just setting up more and more states with Jin-Woo, this whole world, you know, all of these characters. It really just like set up another stake as far as his, again, I don't know what the word is, but like I don't even want to say integrity, but it's like that will, you know, that he really truly has.
Yeah.
And to see again where he was coming from, knowing that when he didn't have any of the ability that he had, and he still kind of did have that will, you know, it's like to see now where he's at now, it was a lot more rewarding being able, just even as a viewer, just watching it, just being like, oh snap, like where he's at right now, like it's still Jin-Woo, but you know, and to see like it even took me back to the first couple episodes when he would get his ass handed to, you know, for real, when he didn't have the ability. And so it being able to take it back to where it was, I thought it was smart and strategic for the creators in going into episode 11. And again, I just really just love the setting and like the building of that dungeon. It was a dungeon, right? It was
like a secret quest dungeon, but definitely still a dungeon.
Still, okay, all right.
Yeah.
You know, I just loved the way it felt like a real boss battle, you know, like for the end. And so yeah. And again, I can't stress it, I really liked episode 12. So this just going into it was nice.
Yeah. I still think I like episode 11 more, but I get the appeal of episode 12 for sure. But yeah, so episode 11, the tracking shots with the camera and some of this stuff was so insane. And then the switch to like POV shots from Sung's eye level, and like seeing Igris just like zooming at him and then it cutting back to all the choreography. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so dynamic of a battle. Hiroyuki Sawano's score coming in at the end. I love the moment when Sung Jin-Woo gets hit and he falls on the throne and he kind of sits there like a king. Like I was like, oh, such nice visual storytelling. And then that's eventually how he wins. He gets the will while he's sitting on the chair. But yeah, just the momentum of this fight, I've already said it, but the momentum, the camera switching, as you said, kind of tracking through 3D environments of the pillars, Sung just getting drugged against the walls, the floor. I mean, what I really loved was Igris, not Idris Elba, sorry. Igris. What I love is that they give him personality, even though he doesn't say any words. Like when Sung Jin-Woo drops his dagger, because he has to go hand to hand, like Igris is like, all right, it's on. He throws his sword, he throws his daggers off, and he's like, he has honor, and he's like, I'm going to fight him barehanded. And I love that because Igris says no words the whole time, but you kind of get an idea of who he is. He's a knight that defends an empty throne, like his king is dead and he still sits there on guard. and then he's also honorable enough to fight his enemy with whatever weapons they bring. So I thought they did a great job of characterizing him, and yeah, it was just like such like an epic moment in the end when Sung finally beats him, and he admits it was luck. Like I like that he said, "Yeah, that was lucky," because I saw it and I was like, "Damn, he got really lucky there," but he admitted it, which I like when the main character isn't blind to luck.
Yeah. You have a very JoJo Part 2. If you've ever seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I have not seen JoJo.
I've seen a little bit, like a couple episodes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the reference completely missed, but there's a very famous scene where, because I don't want to get too off topic here, but Joseph is a JoJo that literally just has pure luck, and he wins every encounter on just luck.
Yeah.
And it's just a running joke. But yeah, no, I adore this. I think these last two episodes, I'm going back and forth on which is my favorite. I think episode 12 I do like a little more.
All right, whatever.
But these are obviously like my favorite episodes of the season thus far.
Right. Yeah. What was I gonna say about the fight? Oh no, damn it, I forgot. Oh, we're gonna move on anyway. We'll jump to the episode 12 because you guys are excited to talk about it. So Mikey, I mean, you've been hyping it up. Let's hear it. What about episode 12 really got you going?
So there were a lot of moments in episode 12 that just like I thought were so genius. First of all, again, just going right into it. With Sun being in the position that he's in, I love that. Having everything I said about episode 11, being able to see him in that sort of vulnerable sort of state, having like knowing that like we're going right into it like that with this, like I was like, all right, come on, let's bring it, let's go. And it was just from the jump so badass when he just like realized like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, but I have to do this. And so like they just started like going, and like, oh my gosh, it was just some of like the smoothest, like, oh my gosh, like seeing him fight, like the choreography was just so like, oh my, I can't even fully describe it. It was so silky smooth. I don't know. It was just so beautiful. Like seeing him move and like the way that they like utilized him moving through the space of all of these like these nights, I guess you could say. And like certain like little things like lines and like when you see someone run, like that Quicksilver sort of effect, like that really shows like, oh no, like he has like the speed, he has like the strength for all of this. It was all so cool. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. And then there was one moment that just like did it for me. It was the moment where he saw himself, where he saw the older version of himself. And when he looked up and the smile was so like innocent. And it was like in a way where he was like, he realized like where he came from sort of thing. But at the same time, it was to me so similar to episode 1 when he was in that original dungeon and you saw like the giant smile of, like, true. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it almost like being able to connect all of that to then like the beginning and like knowing that like that's where he got his start and like that was him from the start. It was just something about it was so powerful to me, and letting that also be like a moment to like help him like build him back up, to remind him almost of like like who he really was, you know. And that like going back to what I was saying about episode 11, like knowing that even back then when he didn't have this solo level, this leveling up ability, like he still had that will. And like it was almost like, again, that reminder of his true will that he knew that he had, and that true integrity. So I don't know, I just really appreciated that moment. And then so much else followed. So much other stuff that I've been ranting, so I would happily let you guys pick up with it. But again, everything that followed it also was just like they did Sun-Woo. They did Jin-Woo justice. They did his character.
Yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on the imagery of his younger self talking to him, because I enjoyed some of it, but I actually thought some of it was contradictory, because he was like, you're still the weakest on the inside. And I always thought Sung Jin-Woo was strong on the inside and weak on the outside. So I was curious what you guys thought of that line. And for me, it felt contradictory for him to say that to himself because, like we talked about, I mean, I think you said in one of the first 2 episodes, like the part that made him strong was his internal will. But then here he's telling himself, oh no, you're still weak on the inside. You're still that little boy. What did you guys think of that? Did that land for you?
Yeah, so I actually perceived it at first, and I don't know if I'm wrong in this or correct, but when that scene first occurred, I thought it was the dungeon kind of like almost forming hallucinations.
All right.
And trying to break down his will.
True.
Or it could be a psychological aspect to it, and even if it was his internal thoughts, seeing himself and seeing the others like Mr. Song there and just kind of demotivating him in that moment, I think it still was appropriate.
Okay.
Because you kind of have like, if I was in Jin-Woo's shoes, which is crazy to say, but you know, you have these moments where you doubt yourself. You know, even if you are strong-hearted and have a strong will, you are doubting yourself, and I think it makes me appreciate Jin-Woo's character. If it was an internal thought and it wasn't like an external entity putting like hallucinations in front of him, if it was in his mind and that was purely him, it also makes me appreciate him because you could tell like he's having moments of weakness and moments of doubt here where his psyche is essentially lying to himself, but he is able to overcome that mental barrier of himself, which is also like something so great to see in like real life when someone is kind of in a rut and you know their brain is telling them one thing, but they're able to literally overcome their own internal like barricade, and that's what I think Jin-Woo did here. That's what I love, seeing him like get up after that and just fuck shit up.
Yeah.
You know? So
yeah, I think what I can, and I appreciate the that angle on it. What I liked what he talked about to himself about was his younger self kind of telling him like, you already have come so far, like why are you still pushing yourself further? Because it's like, look where you were in E rank, but like look at you now, but like why are you still like craving this power? It was almost kind of this question of morality, like you already can make all the money in the world to save your mom, you're already strong enough to do any dungeon you want, like why are you putting yourself in this dangerous position? And I was like, that's a really cool thing to think about, because it's like, it's true, like he doesn't have to do this, like he could just keep doing this stuff with Jin-Ho and he's going to make millions of whatever currency this is, because we don't know yet. He'll continue to make millions and be able to pay for his sister and his mom to have a good life. And I thought that was a really cool introspective moment that they touched on. But I agree. I think the other part of it was probably the more important thing. But yeah, just wanted to touch on that. Mikey, did you have anything else to add on that interaction with himself? I feel like you already talked about it, but yeah, you're good. Okay,
good. Yeah.
All right. Yes. Yeah. So we can jump right into the, I guess the big moment. You know, the new power that he has as the Shadow Monarch, and his ability to make the dead arise and become his shadow army. What'd you guys think of this? I mean, this was a moment that obviously Mawa readers are like so excited for, and now seeing it, does this get you like super hyped for what the possibilities are moving forward for Jin-Woo?
yeah, I was spoiled for I will say I wasn't spoiled for the monarch like class that he activates, but I've heard I was spoiled for the line arise. Like I've just heard it for years now. Like when the Mamwa was going on, I would just see like online like people saying like arise or something like that. Sure. I had no clue. And when going into this episode with this title arise, I figured, okay, this is the episode, this is what people are hyping up. But then seeing it in context and then putting it in the context of him becoming like a necromancer and then a shadow monarch, and that's the context behind it, which I didn't know. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did not expect this at all. I didn't expect
Cool.
it to be like, yo, he could, like, who knows the bounds of this ability? I'm thinking back to the one lion thing that he fought in like the Hellscape dungeon, and go back to that, and he could just be like, yo, arise, fight for me. That's crazy to think about. And it's also interesting to also think about, like, this series is called Solo Leveling, and he's been alone thus far. He's been fighting these battles without anyone knowing of what he possesses. And although these are just kind of spirits, and they have no thought, it's still interesting to think, like, okay, he can summon others to fight with him. So is he really like solo? You know what I mean? But yeah, I thought it was really cool. I'm very interested on how this is gonna play into the future. And then also with the Jeju Island stuff, like, immediately my brain went to, okay, is Jin-Woo going to get directly associated with Jeju Island? Is he gonna go to Jeju Island and help out the S-rank hunters? And if so, is he gonna, like, adopt this whole, like, shadow army to fight the ant creatures there? Like, I don't know. But it's really exciting. And also badass name.
Yeah,
Badass
I mean,
name.
Drip King. I mean, Shadow Monarch.
Yeah.
Drip Woo. It's crazy.
Oh man, I was so at first thrown off. So I didn't know anything about that. Yeah, obviously, at first I didn't even realize that he still hadn't even been placed in a monarch. Like I didn't even like that was like a concept. So when like he even like was like being placed, I was like, oh, okay, like this is about to be awesome. Let's see what this is. And I fully was not expecting to see what he got. But I really liked it for a number of reasons. I liked it because I feel like this whole season, even like if this wasn't a major or supposed to be a theme from this, the three of us have made this like good versus bad, and like just like the Jin-Woo, like that, like that whole
Selfish versus
exactly. Yeah, that whole theme argument. And I kind of associated with like a good versus bad, just because in this world that we've seen, there is a lot of that. There's a lot of people who are out to genuinely do good, that are like just doing their job, and then there's some bad people. And so having that argument kind of be a thing, and then seeing what he got, it just was like, I don't know, it was like a cool mixture of the good and the bad that we've been talking about. And I feel like we've been talking about how like Jin-Woo represents that good, and like there's a chance that he could steer towards that bad. We've seen that, and like I feel like this is like the best that you could do as far as that gray line in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like Jin-Woo can be himself, but he could have an army of dead soldiers at his right hand, which is like awesome. But also like in a world, I guess if you think about it, like he's raising the dead back to life. Not that that's wrong, but like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like it still kind of fits like a world, I guess, of bad in a sense.
Good guys usually aren't necromancers.
Yes.
Like I feel like that's always a term or a class that's associated with like bad or like the dark side of things. So
exactly.
yeah, I agree, definitely.
And so I don't know, I just felt like it was like so perfect to be able to see him now be able to. I mean, we haven't seen it yet. Well, who knows what could actually happen with this ability now. But I don't know. I felt like it was just perfectly. It was a perfect way. It was a perfect thing for him as well, because like you said before, Vinny, like everything that we've seen has been solo. You know what I'm saying? It's like now, like to see that he has an army, but it is still him being solo. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a whole cool concept. It's like I don't know. This guy just keeps powering up in ways like I like. I can't imagine, and I love it. And even I forget the exact name of who he actually spawned out of that power, that ability, and the last of the episode. But even to have like a head knight sort of,
He got Igris. He's got Igris as his right hand knight, which is so dope.
Yes. Is I don't know. It's just like it's so cool.
Yeah, and that brings in also the question, like speaking on that topic that you brought up of morality and how necromancers are typically bad because they're associated with the dead and darkness. We've seen Jin-Woo kill humans, and although his necromancy powers in this episode have only gone to the extent of faceless monsters in the dungeon, what if does this power work on humans as well? Like, what if he kills another Kang, for example, and then he goes, "Hey Kang, arise," and then you have a human who has his own personal life, who has lived, you know, his own entire experience, and then for him to just kill him and bring him back as just a foot soldier in his campaign.
Yeah.
So that I'm really interested if that's gonna like happen in the future, or I don't know, but that's gonna take Jin-Woo into a really dark direction. Yeah. I see Mikey. You're
Mikey's doing a dance in the corner.
You're really loving that.
I'm so happy you said that. I'm so happy you said that. I hadn't even thought about that. That is like a crazy concept, like moving forward, and like
shit.
Right, and it like fits that whole morality thing perfectly because we've talked about how like with great power comes great responsibility type, you know, like, and like he has a lot of power at this point, and who's to say that like if he could do something like that, he doesn't grow to love the idea of killing, knowing that like if I kill you, then you'll just like follow me. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll have no choice.
Right.
That concept is crazy to me. I was not thinking. Thank you for that, Vinny.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah, no, it's a scary prospect for sure,
It is.
especially like S ranks and like other powerful hunters out there. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just want to, since we're talking about the Shadow Monarch and all the people that he's arising, like again, I just want to shout out the animators because it looked beautiful. Like I love that they are capturing this aesthetic so well with the glow, the blue glow of. Oh no, Miles is going down.
No.
I love that they're capturing the blue glow and the subtle kind of essence coming off of these things. Like I love it, and it makes me so excited for the effects in the future and future seasons, knowing what's coming. Like it's so exciting to see. I think I want to wrap this up just by talking about Jeju Island and kind of the little snippets we get throughout this, and then the big reveal in the end credit scene that I hope you guys watched.
I did.
Did you?
No.
It was like a little end credit scene.
Wait, maybe I did, and I just like don't even realize. We'll talk and.
All right. Well, the ants have wings now, so they were landlocked to an island. But the S rank hunters, they've captured a dead body of an ant, and the camera slowly pans, and then you see the glistening of like a wing, and they're like, "Oh no, they're evolving." So now these ants are not landlocked on an island, and they can leave. So now shit's ramped up. What I mean, you predicted a lot already with like Jeju Island and where you think it's going, Mikey. Where do you think Jeju Island's going, and kind of the story, like when we pick up in season 2?
So I can fully confirm that I didn't watch the credit. I'm definitely gonna have to go back. But hearing that, and from now what I could definitely picture that, and you know, obviously everything that we've seen so far. Wow. First of all. Wow.
Live reaction.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think it's exactly what you said before. I think that, you know, we're gonna see honestly, like you were saying, like we could see Jin-Woo bring that army there and stuff like that, and like who knows, more could expand with that. But I agree. I think that hearing that, knowing that these ants could fly, and I don't think that it's gonna be strictly an island is what I'm thinking. I think that you'll have the island itself, but I think that you're gonna start to see more of. I don't know. I'm sorry that I just heard this ending.
Yeah,
now,
I know.
gotta,
You're processing as we talk about it.
I definitely think that we're gonna obviously have him make his way there at some point. Like it would be dumb of them not to. I just don't think that it's gonna be, like strictly just that island. You know what I'm saying? I feel like hearing that, I think, and I don't know if this is just me not knowing too much yet, but like I think that there's chance of it being able to spread. Right. At least certain things that are on such island, and so. That's all I could really. Yeah. I still got to sit with that one for a little bit, guys. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's a short scene. You didn't miss like too much. Right. It's very short, but you should check it out. It's cool.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, it was giving very like Chimera Ant arc from Hunter x Hunter. Like every time I see these ants and then they're evolving, I'm like, I get flashbacks to that arc. Which I'm sorry, Mikey, for making a reference you might not understand.
I will soon.
But yeah, very much Hunter x Hunter-esque. Yeah, what are your, I guess, did you see the trailer for season 2, like the little promo that they did? Okay, all right, so that's your homework assignment. There's not too much again, but it's like there's like a nice promo image of Jin-Woo in next season, which is really cool. We don't know when it's coming out. I know you've seen rumors end of this year we could potentially see some of season 2, or if it's just core 2 of season 1. Oh no, it's definitely season 2. They definitely said season 2. In the Crunchyroll article, they said there was no official date yet, so I don't know. Again, I hope they take their time with this. Like, don't rush this because the action only gets bigger. So, like, the stuff we're seeing with Igris, like that type of animation, like it's only going to be bigger, and they're going to have to up the ante every season, or else it'll kind of get stale. So, take your time, take all the time you need, do what you need to do to make it the best it could be. But yeah, any like out there big predictions for season 2 or what you're looking forward to other than Jeju Island, or if there's more stuff with Jeju Island?
So Mikey and that whole conversation about the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
This is probably never going to happen. But the idea of Jin-Woo going to Jeju Island, killing these ants who can now fly, and then arising them on... like, creating this shadow army of flying ants and like just like riding atop of these ants, like How to Train Your Dragon, and like having like a flying ant army, that would just go crazy. That would go crazy.
That would go crazy.
Like, yeah, you can infiltrate like the penthouse of a corrupt, that one hunter that's hunting him down for killing his brother.
Right. Yeah.
Like, just be like, yo, fly right into his penthouse.
Just frontier justice. Just rolling up around the world on an ant. Taking out all the bad hunters.
Oh, man. That's crazy, man. I didn't even think again about the fact that he could kill not just humans or these things. Like, it could be anything at that point. So that would be crazy, too. I think that... season 2 we're going to see a little bit more of his mom.
Okay.
I feel like this season has been a lot of, again, we've been hyping him up so much because they've just been like leveling him up this whole season, like just constant good. Like he's gotten beaten down, but he's always came out winning. And so I feel like season 2, it would be smart for them to take a different approach in terms of maybe now that we see him at this strength and we see him even with this army, we know that he's like practically undefeatable at like this point. If we could see maybe a sort of change in like things hitting him in places that we didn't realize. And the first thing I could think of would be his mom maybe dying,
right?
Quickly or something that, because you can't really, nothing can hurt him hard, you know what I'm saying? You have to hurt him mentally at this. There's something that could really take him out. Yeah. And I don't even know if that would, because like homie is not Chet Dunn on her in a while, so who knows if he even cares. but like if I don't know, I feel like that would be something cool to see, like taking him out of of that mentality of just leveling up, taking it back a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what I want to see is just more of a focus on the side characters. I think a lot of this season, I think we've talked about it a couple times, like very awkward cuts to these side characters that don't really fit in the main story that they're telling in the episode, but they feel like they need to bring them in somehow.
Yeah.
I'm hoping in next season and just future seasons that they build them out more. Like I know it's the Jin-Woo show, I know that, but I hope they build them out more because that's something that as a manga reader I wanted more of. I felt the characters sometimes could feel underdeveloped when it came to side characters, so I hope the anime takes that opportunity to up the ante with them. So that's what I'm hoping for. Definitely really excited for season 2, especially the promo image because it's like one of my favorite parts of the manhwa. I'm like, oh, they're going, come on, because I forget the order of things, but I'm like, all right, sweet, we're going there, awesome. So yeah, I guess I don't do scores, but I know you guys like scores. So what would you guys give season 1 of Solo Leveling score wise?
All right, I think I'm gonna settle. This is a solid 8 out of 10. For me. I think it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah. I'm still waiting for because I'm taking the collective of all 12 episodes, and these 12 episodes were a solid 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it delivers on the action, delivers. I think there is some low moments at times. Not incredibly low moments, not moments where I was like, wow, that's stupid. It's just like, just things. They're still building out the foundation of things here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10.
Okay. I think it's crazy because I actually just went through a series of thoughts hearing your answer just now because I was going to give it a 9. I was really impressed with this show. But then I had to remember quite a few things. One, this is my first anime.
Right. Yeah.
2, I still am not putting this in that traditional anime boat. Just knowing also that this is a what origin does this origin?
Korean?
What? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going with it. Yes. Even just kind of being that,
True.
and so, and a couple more reasons, even just what I answered before with hearing that this season was so focused on like Jin-Woo just leveling up. Not that I loved every bit of that.
Yeah.
I loved it. But like now thinking about it, like where that story really was, you know what I'm saying? Like we have story here, but we're just starting out.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm like, oh, okay, this was good, but like you said, there's probably so much more to get to that I realized 9 is way too high for like a thing. So I think I'm gonna go 7 actually.
Ooh, okay.
I'm gonna go 7.
Okay.
Yeah, just because it was good and not a bad 7. I loved every bit of this, but it's still new.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Seven's a good IMDb score. 7's a good that's usually what I scale things on.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would go more on the 7 side, 7.5 side, depending on what part of the season it was at. Probably more on the 7 side because I enjoyed it. I do agree that I wish there was like more substance in the story in the episodes and not requiring like a whole podcast to kind of feel that more. But yeah, it was a faithful adaptation. I think they proved themselves, which is the most important part. Like moving forward, I am confident that they can deliver on the story and the animation. So yeah, I like a 7. But yeah, thank you guys again for watching. If you've been joining us every week, or if you've kind of dropped in at different points in the season, appreciate you guys watching. It's been very fun to do a full season review with you guys and dive into it. Obviously we talked about Invincible before this, but we didn't get a full season, so this was our first full animated season that we reviewed. Invincible of course took a 3-month break, and somehow Solo Leveling did a whole season in that 3-month break. But it is absolutely crazy. But yeah, no, thank you guys for the conversation. It's been really fun, and everyone stay tuned. We are going to be talking about part 2 of Invincible season 2. They have watched it. I have not watched it yet, so I've been hearing good things. They've told me, so a little preview for some content coming from the animation crew here at Cinema Wave. So let me do some plugs. Give me 1 second. Vinny, give me some time, you know?
Yeah, so I mean, solo leveling. But anyhow, I agree with y'all, though. I think for my 8 out of 10 rating, it's definitely not like a show that like pulled at my heartstrings, or it didn't really evoke any like certain emotion to get any higher rating than that. But I do think there's some great examples of animation here in the medium.
Yeah.
And I think they've built a great foundation for something deeper, for something greater to happen later on. However, it is yet to come to that. So I would give it no higher than an 8.
Yeah.
I do agree with y'all on the 7. I'm sticking with the 7-8 territory. I don't think any higher, any lower feels undeserving as well.
Right.
But yeah, that's just my thoughts.
Thank you, Vinny. Thank you.
Of course.
But scores are hard. Scores are hard because like you could all be on the same page, but an 8 is an 8 to someone, and a 7 is the 7 to someone. So it's hard. That's why I avoid them. But I'm a team player. I'll play. I'll play. All right. So if you guys don't already follow us, you can follow us at Cinema Wave Media on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Threads. Those will all be shown at the bottom of the YouTube video right now. And then you could also follow us at _Culture Wave Media on Instagram. Thank you guys again for watching. Signing off, I'm Mark Jacobino.
And I'm Vinny Albano.
And I'm Michael Peniston.
See you guys later. Thanks.
This is The Culture.